GeForce Now versus Stadia. How do they compare? I've been a big fan of Google Stadia for some time, and as sad as I am to see them close their doors, I know it's time to move on and find a replacement. You know how it goes. So if you're watching this and you are wondering what could possibly replace Stadia for budget casual gamers like us, this video is for you.
Is that what I'm supposed to do?
I'll go through 3 categories to compare: the games, the performance, and extra features along different price points. I've tested the free versions and the $10 tiers in Premier and Priority to have it be a more apples to apples comparison. So let's get into it. The games. Stadia and GeForce both have their pros and cons over one another in this category. With Stadia free tier, you have access to pretty much nothing except those momentary demos with free play, unless you bought the game brand new. But once you paid for Premier, you got access to over 50 games, and you can claim and keep them for all the times you had Premier. The Premier game selection is okay, in my opinion. I did discover some pretty fun indie games like One Hand Clapping, but you're not going to find a lot of popular titles. For me, I didn't use those games as much. Because of this, you have to buy the games brand new. There might be deals and ways you can transfer your saves if you own the game somewhere else, but I know this is a huge drawback for Stadia. Arguably, the huge plus, on the other hand, with GeForce Now is that right away, starting with the free tier, you have access to many games already in your Steam or Epic or other libraries, so you don't have to buy them twice. And the selection available, in my opinion, is better quality games than Stadia, and your past saves are also there. Now, not all games show. Classics like GTA 5 or award-winning indies like Stray are nowhere to be found on the GeForce Now platform. I have 75 games in my Steam library and only 28 show up. But honestly, it shouldn't matter the pure quantity of games. What should matter is, are the games I want to play available? So, in summary, the pros for the Stadia games are, for $10 per month, they come with a host of free games and also heavy discounts on 100 plus others. The con is that you have to buy games new a lot of times, and there's no transfers from Steam or Epic. For GeForce Now, the pros on the games is that it utilizes the Steam and Epic or other libraries, so you have your games already, and there's a big game like AAA selection than Stadia. The con is that there's no extra free games that come with any of the higher tiers. The performance. Input lag exists in both, but you get used to it. I experienced more hiccups in Nvidia, but it seems to be improving frequently. For Stadia, they're able to take advantage of the Google Cloud servers, which are abundant and very powerful. Gaming was super smooth in Stadia, at least for me, and I finished hours of gameplay with just 1 or 2 crashes on heavy games like Cyberpunk, and that's no different from some of the highest tier computers out there. GeForce is not as polished as Google even today, with the lagging, clunky loading and bugs you have to troubleshoot manually as an end user, but it's getting there. A few weeks ago, on GeForce Now, I was having major lag issues with some of the higher resolutions on priority level on games like A Plague Tale, but now, today, I can set everything to Ultra with virtually no issues, so there have been frequent improvements. Yes, that means you might run into maintenance downtime for some games, like on a Friday evening, which is peak game time where you see a game is offline that you really want to play. But at least you know they're working on the tech. I frequently play close to 3 hours on GeForce Now with maybe 1 or 2 hiccups, which are not game-breaking at all. And also for graphics and resolution, on the priority version, the $10 tier, 1080p is the limit for GeForce Now, And if you want anything better quality, you're gonna have to pay double that, $20 per month for the top tier on GeForce Now. On the other hand, Stadia offered 4K and HDR for their $10 tier. But GeForce Now also has RTX enabled for the $10 tier. For wait times, Stadia had none for all their tiers. For GeForce Now, they definitely have wait times. On the free tier, it was pretty annoying and too long for me. On the priority tier, it's shorter and definitely negligible. Definitely didn't really ruin my experience that much, except for a few bugginess with some games taking longer to load or download. And one time, just one time, I had to wait in line, which finished in about 2 minutes for priority, so it was okay. For time limits, so there's absolutely no time limits on Stadia. I might have read somewhere that there's a 6-hour time limit, but I haven't put that to the test. For GeForce Now, there's a 1-hour time limit for the free tier, which is pretty annoying to me, and you have to pay $10 to get up to 6 hours time. So in review, the pros for the performance on Stadia is that there were no wait times across all tiers. The $10 tier provided 4K resolution and HDR, and there were hours of gameplay across all tiers with virtually no limits. The cons is that there are limited graphics settings. You'll see in Stadia, they only offer like 2 settings for graphics, 2 or 3 settings for graphics in Cyberpunk, for instance, whereas Nvidia, they have a host of other settings you can tweak on graphics and resolution. For GeForce, the pros on performance are they had more graphics settings available and also had RTX, ability to bump everything to Ultra. The cons were that for $10, it's limited to 1080p unless you upgrade the tiers. The load times are longer, especially on free, and the free version had the 1-hour limit on playtime. Let's move on to the extra features, starting with mobility or portability. So both work seamlessly on computers and mobile phones. TV is a little bit different, and I'm sure there will be more improvements like smart TV compatibility in the future. And of course, there's the screencasting and HDMI options, but those tend to be super clunky or laggy today. GeForce needs to hook up to Nvidia Shield for TV, and this is pretty pricey as the Shield devices run from $150 to $200, whereas Stadia just needs a $30 Chromecast and a $60 controller. And speaking of controller, the Stadia controller is still my favorite controller to use. There's a button where you could do quick screenshots and hold it down for a 30-second highlight button, and I used that so much while I was playing on Stadia. And we don't currently have a controller like that available for GeForce Now. I'm hoping Google can enable Bluetooth on these controllers in the near future so we don't have to play wired. Comparing the free tier, Nvidia free tier is very limited and lower quality. For Stadia, the free tier is just lower quality graphics and no surround audio and no free premium games, but you still have access to all of the other features. And wow, did Stadia have features. So they included, again, for free, party play, sharing titles with a list of people, saves and photos and video clips all stored in the cloud, community play state shares, and also streaming. Now, Nvidia GeForce Now has streaming available for their high tier, and you also are required to download the Nvidia GeForce experience, I believe, and for that you need a specific graphics card. And at that point, if you already have a high graphics card, what is the point of using cloud gaming? So I haven't been able to use streaming services at all through Nvidia GeForce. I have to use pretty clunky new technology that I had to view a lot of tutorials and learn how to use like OBS, and I can stream my games through there. But with Stadia, it was so easy to stream just at a click of a button, and it automatically links to your YouTube. And I didn't realize how many settings I had to change on OBS and Nvidia GeForce to get the same good audio and just same setup as Stadia was able to accomplish with just a click of one or two buttons. So with all that, Stadia actually might have been too good to be true in many ways on how much they offered for free. So in conclusion, GeForce Now versus Stadia. Well, do we really have a choice to choose as one seeing the graveyard very soon? In all honesty, though, GeForce Now has definitely come a long way over the years. They used to be having more performance issues from reviews I've seen. There was less of a selection of games. And it's great to see that they've been continually improving. So I would say the priority tier and above is definitely a great replacement for Stadia. The number one thing for me choosing it over other cloud platforms like Xbox, PS4, or Luna is that I have all my games already on Steam and it's able to connect to that. And I have the option to downgrade to free, no extra monthly costs, and still play if I want. Guys, these subscriptions are getting out of control. Anyways, yes, I will miss the features, smooth butteriness of playing on Stadia using those Google Cloud servers, but I guess not all is lost, and I can lay Stadia to rest peacefully knowing I have other outstanding choices out there. So if you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to leave a like. Let me know your thoughts if you've had your experience on GeForce Now or Stadia. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.